Good evening, folks. This is the evening of July 31st. Hot off the press, Hamilton Spectator, no decision in the Tony Divers case. I'd like to discuss that a little bit. Historically, there has been no charges ever laid against a Hamilton police officer for killing someone through a shooting. And these shootings are quite frequent, actually. From 2011 up to Mr. Divers in 2016, they actually have involved a variety of situations, people with mental illness, marginalized people, people in poor neighborhoods, and so forth. So there's a pattern there that a good sociologist could really figure that out. I have a degree in sociology, but it doesn't help me because I just don't have the resources to study this. It would be a very good study. So we have a city of 520,000 people. I just came in from Brantford, and that's what the sign says as you're coming towards the link there. So we have a city of 520,000 people. We've had all these fatalities. It simply amazes me. And the last one with Mr. Divers, we have all these officers equipped with tasers as well. Now, you'd think there would be a tough justification to say, well, why didn't you use a taser before you shot the guy? There's a pretty good argument for that, but I really don't think Mr. Divers was doing anything, in my opinion, from what I've read, that would justify him being shot. So the real problem comes with the S.I.U. in this case. What are they going to do? Are they going to fight? Are they going to charge this officer, or are they not going to charge this officer? The pattern would think that they're not going to charge him. But if they're not going to charge him, how are they going to justify it? In the media or whatever, we've seen no evidence of any weapon that Mr. Divers had. And the strange thing is here, it sort of went in reverse. How these things usually work is the person at the inquest, finally when it comes down to the inquest, they bring out as much dirt as they can about the person to make them look bad. And sort of, I don't know, like the Spectator seems to work with City Hall and the police board, just opinions, of course, and just makes the person look as bad as possible at the inquest. Well, this was right away that they brought about Mr. Divers' record, and I really don't have a problem with Mr. Divers' record because it's got nothing to do with it. These factors that came into these cases, when you bring them out in an inquest, generally have nothing to do with the shooting at all. The police officer's character is never brought to light. Of course not, because the Spectator comes out on the side of the police, generally speaking, unless it's something minor, something scandalous. We're going to just cover a scandalous story. Like some police officer taking a lady home in his police car or back to the station. I'm not sure about that exact story. That's just an example. So the idea of the S.I.U. being an independent agency, I argued this myself at the inquest hearings, before the pre-inquest hearings. Well, yeah, you can call it, they even sent a lawyer to say that it's a legal agency that's independent, but it really isn't. And those hearings with Justice Tulloch really showed that, I think. The proportion of ex-police officers is quite high. So we've got a real quandary here with the Tony Divers case. What are they going to do? They can't let their brother in blue down, but what kind of thing are they going to say that justifies this shooting? And the other thing I'd like to touch on is I'm really sorry for the family. And from what I understand, now I haven't talked to them probably in 6 months or a year, a long time, on the Facebook. I'm not on there very much. But they've received no support from the community, and shame on you, Hamilton. Shame on you. This is this man's family, and the story seems to read that he was shot down as an unarmed man. I don't think that's something that my community should be, well, I'm not saying proud of. I don't think that they should support that if that's what happened. And at the same time, I think they should lend some support to the family of Mr. Divers. They didn't do anything wrong. And don't feed into the media feeding frenzy about all this nonsense. What we got to do with these cases is see what the S.I.U. is going to say and critique it, and people should get together and help the divers. I'm certainly willing to do it. I mean, it causes me a lot of mental stress to do that because of my background with my son. But let's be good Christians here and overlook whatever flaws that anybody has. But again, we come down to the Spectator is very quick to point out what happened in the past and all that. That's got nothing to do with this. This is the conduct of a person that is employed by your tax dollars. Okay? And so are people like teachers. Now this evening, I'd just like to make a comparison. I believe teachers start at a $90,000 or $100,000, about $90,000. I believe police officers make about that. Well, even in a bad neighborhood, a good teacher is doing some good. They're trying to set a role model. They're teaching, they're educating in different subjects, mathematics or history, you name it. They're trying to do good for the community. But what does a police officer do? I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm saying, what does a police officer do when he kills? He doesn't help anybody. He just hurts them. So please, I would suggest that supporting the Divers family is the right thing to do. And I certainly do it. Thank you very much for your attention.